So I am here with Anthony Capone, Chief Operating Officer of Myant, to tell us a little bit about Myant and these incredible products that you've just seen. Anthony, tell us about Myant.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. I love talking about Myant. We're so happy to be here. This gives us the opportunity to show to the entire community, this entire health tech community, what it's like to do clinical grade, multimodal, continuous prevention. Continuous prevention. We believe that you can live younger, longer by prevention through precision medicine. Prevention through precision medicine. That's the key.
So this is incredible. I mean, we're seeing clinical grade products, these incredible consumer fits as well. You know, these don't look like the clunky models we've perhaps been used to seeing in health tech. And also it does so much more than some of the kind of more, you know, single use, discrete use cases we're seeing on the floor. This is really a platform and a system, right?
That's right, that's right. Both of those things are important. The fact that it is a wearable, that you have the ability to be a full interface, like a new skin, is critical because some people don't like watches, some people don't like rings, some people can't afford a $900 watch, some people can't afford the ring, but we all wear clothes. Clothes are universal, and so let's have a universal interface so that all people of all socioeconomic statuses can benefit from smart, intelligent biometric readings. But then in addition to that, the key is multimodal. It's not just being able to get one signal or be able to look at one part of the body. You need to have a comprehensive view of the body because most people have multiple diseases or are at risk of multiple diseases. And we're not about managing the disease, we're about preventing the disease at Myant.
And you know, to have that kind of preventative experience, it needs to be this great product. And looking at the products, you know, they are these really comfortable, wonderful things for people to wear. We talk a lot actually about convergence and, you know, many things coming together. And this is a great example. The work you do, you're a materials company, you're an AI company, you're a health tech company. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, and then we can kind of see that come to life in a demo.
Yeah, well, the foundation is the materials.
Yeah.
So in our 180,000 square foot facility in Toronto, we manufacture and invent our own materials. And then we'll take those materials and we might do something like extrude them into yarn, and those yarns are conductive. Then we can knit those yarns ourselves, and that's how we get these type of garments. And those garments, now that they're conductive and clinical grade, we can do things like ECG or respirations. We can do things like core body temperature. But we package it all together, vertically integrated. We do it all. But then there's obviously the software component. What do you do when you have this massive amount of multimodal data? What do you do with all that data? Well, our software team and our data analytics team, we have hundreds of people, so many PhDs, that are specialized in biomedical signal processing. And being able to take those signals and know exactly how to interpret them, that's key, because that's what is important for a doctor, for a clinician. That's what's important in order to intervene. And that's how you have prevention. You have continuous monitoring, but continuous intervention. So continuously guiding to have a disease not become a chronic disease.
So maybe we can see that in action and you could talk us through it.
Yeah, well, we start with the textile, of course. So what you're looking at right here is some examples of our product. We have one right now, which is the first ever product that does 3-lead clinical grade ECG with ambulatory blood pressure.
Wow.
All in one device.
All in one device.
All in one device. Same exact device that you have the ability to do that. Now in that same device, you're also knowing what your posterity is, and that's critical, because how do I know when to do the blood pressure reading? You should be standing still, you shouldn't even be talking. Well, how do you know that? We know that, right? How do you have the ability to be able to get your 3-lead ECG, but be able to get rid of artifact and motion artifacts? Well, you know because you have your accelerometer. But it's also really important to know what your core body temperature is, and it's important to know what your HRV is. It's important to take all of these together, because what you're trying to do is not monitor signals, you're trying to deal with heart failure. And how can I handle that heart failure? You do that by looking at the comprehensive amount of the body. What really is differentiating is, imagine a world where, and this is now possible because of generative AI, you can take all the biometrics of the body, continuous over time, and you can say, using this data, against a large language model that has the whole corpus of humanity, all the scientific knowledge base that's ever existed. Why is this information important? What is all of this information? This trending ECG, this blood pressure, this temperature, this gait analysis, this amount of steps, the slowing of steps. Is this a progression of what disease? Well, guess what? There are millions and millions of scientific documents, peer-reviewed research, clinical case studies that indicate what this disease is and then how to treat it. We're not inventing how to treat the disease, but we finally have the data that can combine with our AI systems to know how we go about treating the disease. So practically, these connect over Bluetooth to your phone. So if I show right now, I can show you as an example, this right here is one of the phones. So I'm looking right now at my live ECG.
Wow.
Live ECG, 3-lead ECG. But in this same thing, you now, in this same application, I have the ability to see my blood pressure. I have my blood pressure that's recorded every 15 minutes. What is my core body temperature that time? I have a symptom, I log the symptom in here. And when I log that symptom, and then it asks me more information, if I have an arrhythmia, now it starts to correspond what I was doing with what was happening with my ECG morphology. Well, that's critical because now what I've identified is the trigger for, let's say, my AFib, which now allows me to avoid that trigger. Your trigger might be if you don't sleep right and you don't drink enough water, the likelihood of you getting AFib is greatly increased. So now what do? You sleep a little bit better and you make sure you're hydrated. And now all of a sudden, you no longer have AFib and you dramatically decrease your risk of stroke. That's how we help people to live younger, longer, by taking something which is a disease and changing it so it's not a chronic disease.
I mean, this sounds, just definitionally transformational for preventative measurement, but also health tech, right?
I would say that it is a transformation in the way that society manages their own health.
So let's look into that a little bit. I mean, what does the future hold for this kind of technology? I mean, we should come back to say, by the way, this isn't just something you wear for a day. These are comfortable enough to do the kind of continuous monitoring you just saw there, right? These are clinical grade devices that can do that.
That's right. It's clinical grade, but you're able to wear it all the time. I wear mine all the time because you're able to see all of your biomarkers. You're able to see all of this information. You're able to look at your respiration rates, but your posterity. You're able to look at your O2 set. You're able to combine all of your devices together to get a holistic view of the body. For me, what that means is that finally, we're going to be able to, when something is indicated that's wrong, as early as possible, you begin to intervene and take those decisions, and everybody can have access to it. Because a normal, let's just say a single device that wants to do arrhythmia detection, right? Single device, clinical grade, which they call a Holter monitor, an adhesive patch that they stick right onto and it rips up your hair and rips your skin open. Uncomfortable. $1,500 for one of those.
Wow.
But our device with the pod and everything, $100 in cost.
And of course, with the traditional devices, you may be changing your behavior. As you were saying, this is managing all of those other signals. You can continue your normal behavior and you can get that richness of data for real early intervention and preventative changes in medicine.
Right. That's right, but it's only really possible because it is multimodal. It's because when this happened, I also knew what my blood pressure was. I knew if I was sitting, if I was standing, and I knew what my sleep was the night before because we have all your sleep stages in here. So with this same exact product, I can tell you whether or not you're gonna have sleep apnea, whether or not, knowing your sleep stages, what time you should wake up. You can go in and you can say, okay, I want to fall asleep, or I want to wake up, or I have to wake up for work between 6:30 and 7. Well, what's the optimal time? We'll wake you up. It's 6:45 because that's when you're coming out of REM.
So what does this mean for the future of healthcare and the future for brands? I mean, this is, to a sci-fi geek like me, this is incredible because it feels like if you've ever watched Star Trek, the tricorder in Star Trek, but somehow more advanced than the 24th century. So, hey, we're already there. But this is going to be quite a change for folks taking agency of their own health. We did some work this year around our meaningful brand study, where consumers are increasingly feeling more agency, more ability to take control. You have this platform with this richness of data that is a clinical product, but gives consumers, gives patients access to this data. That's going to mean a big change, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not only a big change for you in the way you interact with your own body through this closed loop system, but also all of this data transmits in real time back to your physician. So now you can go and you start, and let's say right now, and this is part of the demo, is you would go in and you do a telehealth visit. Yeah. So today you've done a telehealth visit before, right? You do a telehealth visit. Do they have any diagnostic ability over you? None. They're just asking you questions. How do you feel? When did it start? You know, more symptomatic information. What if while they were doing your televisit, in real time,
they had access to these diagnostics?
All day. They're looking at your ECG right now. Not only that, you called them because you had a symptom 4 hours, 6 hours earlier, right? You got on a telehealth visit, they replay and they go back to what it was 6 hours earlier. They're looking at it. What does that do to medicine? How does medicine change? Today, medicine is, I get sick, I have a symptom, I go to the hospital, I see the doctor, they retest me, they try to diagnose me. After the fact, everything is post over the fact, missing the occurrence.
Yeah.
What if now, anytime you got sick, you were able to replay the moment of when the symptom occurred? And now all of a sudden you don't have to retest, you don't have to wait all of that extra time. You had the ability to go and see exactly what was going on with your body.
You have a recording of your biomedical history for that moment and can kind of replay it and see what's happening.
It's an evolution of humanity.
It's an evolution of humanity. That is absolutely fascinating. I want to circle back real quick to your point about large language models and that side of AI. You suddenly have, in this evolution of humanity, the ability, as you said, to look at it against this huge corpus of knowledge, to manage diagnostics at scale. So how's that going to change things?
Well, the key is you do signal to text. So you're saying, okay, all these signals and all these readings, when I put that into text, human readable understanding of what this biological, physiological state is, if I take all of that from a trending analysis, and then I compare that against something that was trained on all of the scientific clinical literature that exists, why is it important? What is it meaningful of, and what is it indicative of?
So, I mean, it's not an abstraction layer so much, but you're foreseeing a future where in natural language, we have this kind of data explained to us in a way that we can understand, and it just supercharges perhaps that way of doing this kind of preventative healthcare.
Correct, because each one of those corresponds to what the treatment is. So it's not just displaying the data, but it's like, hey, we see you have this disease, what do you do next?
Incredible. Thank you so much for spending time with us. This technology is fascinating, and we're going to be monitoring it because it really is, it's changing the world for the better.
Thank you. Appreciate it.